Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman, and we are coming to you from the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island and the annual policy conference that's put on by the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce. And we have with us a returning guest, right? Okay, we're going to check the progress of what we're going to do. Erin Skene-Pratt, and she's the executive director of Michigan Afterschool Partnership. So let's re-explain to everybody what that is.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. So we are a network of after-school programs across the state, and that means programs that serve kiddos before school, after school, as well as summer. And so we work to provide them with advocacy support as well as helping to improve the quality of their programs.
Now, I would suspect that it's all in conjunction with the school system, and you're using their facilities for the most part.
Some do. A lot of programs are located at schools. Some are located at nonprofit organizations. Some are at parks and recreation departments. Some are even at libraries.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what's the mission here? I mean, I know it's to watch kiddos, right? And make sure they grow up with the right ideas, etc.
Yeah, after school has so many benefits for kids. It absolutely is in terms of their academics. We know kids that go through these programs are more likely to do better in math, science, and reading. They have great emotional skills, those soft skills, 21st century skills that they need for jobs. It's also a great childcare provider for younger youth. You know, we're here talking a lot about, how do you retain business? How do you retain talent here in the state? And one of the best ways to recruit and retain talent is to make sure that there's care for their kids so that they can actually work. And then programs are also offering a lot of workforce development support. So, a lot of times we focus on when we're looking at, how do we get more vet techs? How do we get more folks to work in engineering, in STEAM, et cetera? And we focus on them doing that during the school day. But there's a lot of opportunity with out of school time programs, particularly with middle school and high school students, to be able to have those workforce development opportunities and career exploration with them at that time too.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I mean, we do a thing in Lansing, and it's called T3, and it's a career quest. So we have all these people in one room, all these employers, 54 of them, and then we loosen 3,000 students to go look at all these possible careers. Because most of these kids, they don't talk career at their family tables, and some of them don't have family tables.
Yeah. And that's what's so great about the after school programs is that, it can complement, right, what's happening at home. It can complement, what's happening in the schools and really allow for that extra time because especially with the school system, right, they're so focused, right, on what they have to cover during the day that then with these after school programs, you have a little more flexibility, right, to do more of these career exploration opportunities.
Now, how do you select the communities that you're going to go into?
We actually are statewide, and so we're the, kind of the association network for everybody. But then we advocate for state funds that support programs. And then the state goes through a competitive grant process and then determines how they're going to fund the programs. But it usually is dictated by the state in terms of it does have to be statewide, but then it also has to prioritize, areas most in need.
All right. So last year when we first brought this up, you were still in the mobility stage. You were growing. How's it gone?
It's been a great year. We've been really fortunate in terms of growth as an organization ourselves. We've gone from just a couple staff to about 10 staff, which is fantastic, right, in terms of capacity. But then we've also grown in terms of, more importantly, with the partners that we have, a lot of philanthropic partners, business partners, school partners, all champions, right, for after school. And then the state continues to show its interest and desire to invest, right, in after school. So it was $50 million this past year. And this year, it's $50 million again with the governor's budget. And then the House is at $75 million and the Senate's at about $69 million. So we're really hopeful that these programs that provide such critical care to youth across the state will be able to have that funding.
So I'm picking up that from all your smiling, your funding is pretty solid right now.
I hope so. It's always, when you deal with legislation, right, and you're dealing with the state budget, it's always up until the last minute. Why don't you make sure that you're on the radar screen and that, it's so important. But, we're really fortunate that we have so many legislative champions who realize the, importance of these out of school time and after school programs because of the academic support, because of the tie for workforce development, and because of the mental health pieces as well. I mean, you look at all the priorities that the legislature has and the priorities that the governor has, right? You can basically kind of tick it off and say, yes, after school meets all of those priorities.
Well, it's an amazing program, and it is an absolute necessity from a couple of perspectives. The influence on the kid is just awesome, but also there are a lot of working parents, and one of the biggest problems right now in that workforce is childcare.
Absolutely. And childcare, a lot of times we think about it, right, with the younger kiddos. But, once they're in kindergarten, once they're school age, right, you
Yeah.
still need that care. And, no matter what community you're in, there is a shortage of that care available to you. It's very frustrating, right? And, you have a couple days in the spring where everyone is furiously trying to get their kiddos signed up, right, for summer programming. And there's wait lists galore, right? And those are the families who can afford it, right? And there are a lot of families who can't afford it. And that's really why a lot of this funding is so important, to make sure that the families that really need this care can get it.
Well, you're absolutely right. You're filling a void. Erin Skene-Pratt, thanks so much for joining us, Executive Director of the Michigan Afterschool Partnership. Keep up the good work. We need you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Chris Holman, and you're watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network, and we're coming to you today from the Grand Hotel. We're here for the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce's annual policy conference.